représente quoi la danse pour toi?
C'est tout pour moi. La danse, c'est tout pour moi. J'ai que ça.
Climax just came out in the UK, and yeah, it's a lot. A whole lot. Supposedly, it's based on a true story from the 90s when a rehearsing group of dancers found that the punch bowl in their wrap party was spiked with something much stronger than the alcohol they were expecting. As you'd guess, it makes things better for a while and then worse. Much worse.
Truc qui me monte.
It's an unpleasant film, though that certainly seems to be the intent. The descent into hell that we witnessed is made all the more stark by the alluring nature of the striking and beautiful dance number that opens the film, which is then followed by a series of drunken discussions between the revellers, which are truly revealing. Apparently, this film was shot with an outline of 5 pages, and the characterization and dialogue was left mainly up to this cast they've assembled of untrained actors that were culled from French and European dance scenes. They talk about the things you'd expect to come out of such people: talent, fame, a lot about sex. They are by turns unguarded and posturing, all trying to figure out where they sit in this company's social hierarchy. Gossip abounds. It's quite hard not to fall in love with them, or at least not pick out your favourites. The sly reliance on inference allows you to quietly pick apart the lovable assholes from the genuine ones. And while we eventually settle into following 2 main leads, Sofia Boutella playing a character called Selva, who realises early on that things have started to all go to fuck and tries hazily to keep the situation under control, and Romain Guillemets David, who figures the same but instead attempts to make the situation work out for himself. There's enough purpose and intent and honesty that has been established throughout all the 25 or so background players, that as things descend, as the situation gets worse, you find yourself peering into these images, searching for the ones you care about, hoping that they're going to be okay. And so the determination of the focus makes the film impossible to look away from, even when it gets to points where, nothing good is gonna come of this, and so it would probably be more healthy. As he likes to do, Gaspar Noé directs his cinematographer Benoit Debie's camera through a procession of dizzying and harrowing long takes that move through the confines of this disused school gym that has been temporarily converted to a joint working and living space. The intensity and brutality that spikes as an outletting of the collective hysteria that grips the pack is thrown into relief by these nervy moments that stretch on out as the characters make their unsteady way from one end of the building to the other. And as an audience, you're on edge all the time, because you never know what new situation will arrive when they go down a corridor, when they turn a corner, when they knock a door open into a room. Because what you're going to be faced with is something unknown, something worse. There's an idea going on here about the intersection of the personal and the private space, the horrors that can enfold us given the dissolution of these boundaries. We see, as the effect of the drugs start to take hold, that the hierarchies that have been put in place between these people, that of choreographer and dancer, that of adult and child, even the sexual hierarchies that they have built between themselves, all start to melt. These people live together and they work together, and it only takes the slightest push for that relationship to become unstable. You're reminded of the abusive workplace that coerces its employees into unpaid overtime under the guise of familiarity, or the intrusive presence of capital into our online identities. We are living in a situation in a world in which our data selves have been forced into becoming something privately owned, something that can be transmitted and sold without our consent. And we are not yet fully aware of the horrors we're being gradually and unknowingly opened up to as a result of this. In the same way that these characters' lives have been taken out of their own hands, are our lives too already out of ours? It's not to say that these characters' experience is solely an unpleasant one. There's a fine amount of people in this film who just seem to be enjoying themselves. And the conception of this as a dance movie obviously stems from an immense love of the human body. Even as we get to the darker stuff, the needs which these people are expressing are painfully human. Compassion, connection, desire, safety, both queer and straight along and on the screen. And as often as it ends up in pain, it so too can sometimes end up in release. And even if that release is just voguing the fucking hell out of some moves on the dance floor, these people are astonishingly talented, and occasionally it is just wonderful to watch that beauty, as painful as it can be. Unequivocally, what is happening in this film is a bad thing. It is a horrifying film, if not technically what we'd conceive of as a traditional horror film. Yet it ends on a note of stillness, on a note of peace. Sure, it's preceded by a full-screen title proclaiming death to be the ultimate release, or something to that effect, but it also understands the transformative effect that being outside yourself for a while, even if the experience is unpleasant, has some very bad effects and leaves you feeling physically sick. Art and culture and shared experience is transformational. You cannot leave the room with the same mindset that you entered it with. So it's a metaphor for movies then. There's another big title card at the beginning, tends to like throwing them in big and flashing and in your face. And this one says it is a French movie and proud of it. And it won the Directors' Fortnight at Cannes, so I'm guessing the country must be pretty proud of it too, which is basically a first for the man who's made a career on being despised by the right sort of people. Whatever it has to say about France may be clearer to them. The whole thing thrums with this coarse, underlying understanding of the limits of humanity's impulses. And what it finds ain't pretty. It's an assault. It feels abusive, both textually and aesthetically. It's muddled and loud and wild in the fuck are. Yeah, there's an audience for that. I mean, if you like your cinema to be a punch to the gut, there's not really much out this year which is gonna hit harder.
Ce qui ne me tue pas me rend plus forte.